The night sky over Earth was calm, peaceful, and as quiet as it had always been. Stars twinkled from billions of light years away, casting their ancient light across the dark expanse of space. The people of Earth went about their business, unaware of the storm that was quietly brewing in the depths of space. Yet deep within the silence of the cosmos, something was stirring. A signal, one unlike any other, was being sent out. It wasn't an accident or a random occurrence. This was a deliberate transmission, encoded with coordinates, and it was aimed straight at the heart of the galaxy. At first, the signal seemed like any other anomaly. Space was full of strange noises and bursts of energy. But as the transmission continued, a group of top scientists on Earth, working in secret bases deep underground, realized it wasn't just static. The signal was a message pointing directly to Earth. It wasn't meant to be detected, but it was. This wasn't just a broadcast. This was humanity's first step toward making its mark in the galaxy. The Galactic Empire, which ruled over vast sections of the universe with an iron fist, had never considered Earth to be more than a small, insignificant planet full of primitive creatures. They had long believed that humanity, with its weak technology and primitive culture, was nothing more than a forgotten backwater world. The Empire's commanders had laughed when they received reports of the signal. Earth was nothing to fear. They were still dealing with other species more advanced than humans, but the signal was relentless. It kept repeating the coordinates, Earth's exact location. The Empire, growing concerned, made a fateful decision. They would send a fleet to investigate. They believed they would find nothing but an underdeveloped civilization, easily crushed and forgotten. But they were wrong. As the Empire's fleet began its journey, Captain Ethan Hayes stood in the command center of Earth's hidden base beneath the oceans. The base itself was massive, a secret facility built deep under the waves, far from the prying eyes of any Empire satellites. Earth had been preparing for this moment for years, hiding its true potential. The people who lived here were not the same as the ones who walked on the surface of Earth, blissfully unaware of the cosmic dangers that loomed over them. These were Earth's best and brightest, the soldiers, engineers, and leaders who had been working in secret to develop technology capable of changing the fate of humanity forever. Captain Hayes was more than just a soldier. He was the leader of Earth's secret fleet, the one who would guide the planet's fight against the unstoppable might of the Galactic Empire. His face was stern, his gaze unwavering. He had seen what the Empire was capable of. He had heard the stories of entire civilizations being wiped out without a second thought. Now, he was about to show them that humanity was not the helpless, primitive species they believed it to be. Earth's fleet was ready. Beside Captain Hayes stood Lieutenant Era, a former officer of the Empire. She had once served the Galactic Empire, rising through the ranks of their military with a promise to uphold their order. But when she had discovered the true horrors of the Empire's rule, she had defected, seeking refuge with Earth. Era had once been part of the Empire's elite forces, but now she was fighting for humanity's survival. She knew the Empire's tactics, their strengths, and their weaknesses. She knew that this battle was not going to be easy. Despite her allegiance to Earth, Era often felt torn. The Empire had been her family, her comrades, and their technology was advanced beyond anything she had ever seen. But humanity was fighting for something different, something more important. As she looked over the control panel in front of her, she steeled herself for the fight that was about to begin. The Galactic Empire had no idea what they were about to walk into. In the control room, a soft peep interrupted the tension. The countdown had begun. It was time. Captain Hayes nodded to his crew, signaling them to activate Earth's fleet. Suddenly, the room was alive with movement as technicians and officers worked together, preparing the fleet for launch. The monitors flickered as the cloaking device that had been developed in secret by Earth's best minds powered up. The entire fleet, which had been hidden in plain sight for years, was about to be revealed to the galaxy. The cloaking devices activated, and in an instant, the fleet appeared, materializing from thin air. Earth's warships, sleek and powerful, were suddenly visible in space. They were far more advanced than anything the Galactic Empire could have imagined. They had been hiding in the shadows for so long, but now it was time to show the galaxy that Earth was not weak. The signal had been a warning, a challenge, and now humanity was ready to face the galaxy head-on. As the fleet materialized, the tension in the command room was palpable. The Empire was on its way, unaware of what was coming. The ships were silent, their weapons primed and ready. It was time for Captain Hayes and his team to reveal what Earth was capable of. The countdown to war had begun, and the fate of Earth rested in the hands of those in this room. Outside the base, the ocean's surface was calm. The moon reflected softly off the water, undisturbed by the chaos that was about to unfold. But beneath the waves, in the depths of the secret base, the true power of Earth was waiting. Earth's secret fleet had been born from the darkest corners of human ingenuity. It had been crafted not just to defend, but to strike back. Humanity had hidden its strength for far too long. Now it was ready to take its place in the stars. The Empire's fleet was unaware of the trap they were walking into. As their ships moved closer to Earth, they would find themselves caught in a battle they were unprepared for. The Empire had underestimated Earth, thinking it to be a primitive planet with no hope of survival. But this was no longer the case. The people of Earth had risen, and they were ready to defend their world at all costs. The camera zoomed in on Captain Hayes, his eyes cold and focused, as the countdown reached its final seconds. The hidden fleet was poised, ready to strike at the heart of the Empire's arrogance. The Empire had made a grave mistake, one that they would regret. The hidden fleet was Earth's final stand, and with it, humanity was going to change the galaxy forever. The first battle was about to begin, and there was no turning back. The first wave of the Empire's fleet arrived at Earth's orbit, their massive ships gliding silently through the void of space. The stars above shone brightly, giving no hint of the impending battle. The Empire's fleet, confident in their overwhelming superiority, had not expected any resistance from Earth. After all, they believed humanity was just a primitive species, unworthy of their attention. But they were gravely mistaken. As the Empire's warships approached, a silent countdown began within the hidden bases beneath Earth's oceans. Captain Ethan Hayes and his crew watched with focused eyes as the massive screens in front of them displayed the incoming fleet. The tension in the control room was unbearable. Every soldier, every technician, and every officer was on edge, knowing this was their moment to strike. The Empire was about to learn that they had underestimated Earth's might. Without warning, the first of the Empire's ships moved into range, and Earth's fleet erupted from their cloaking devices, emerging like ghosts from the darkness of space. The Empire had no time to react as the first strike hit them. Advanced energy weapons fired from Earth's warships, sending powerful blasts of energy that tore through the hulls of the Empire's ships. The quiet of space was shattered by the deafening explosions, as the Empire's vessels were quickly overwhelmed by the unexpected onslaught. The ships, once believed to be invincible, were now burning wrecks in space. Captain Hayes watched as the battle unfolded, his heart pounding in his chest. The Empire had been caught completely off guard. Their ships, larger and more numerous, had been decimated by Earth's precision strikes. Earth's fleet, though smaller in number, was more agile and far more advanced than the Empire had ever imagined. Cloaked and equipped with weapons that the Empire could not have anticipated, Earth's fleet fought with unmatched efficiency. The first wave of Empire ships was already in chaos, but they were not going down without a fight. The Empire's flagship, a massive warship with a formidable arsenal, began to retaliate. Its weapons fired relentlessly, sending waves of energy towards Earth's fleet. For a moment, it seemed like the flagship might turn the tide of the battle, but the Empire had not accounted for Earth's tactical advantage. The Empire's flagship tried to bring its full force to bear, but Earth's warships were faster, more precise, and deadlier. Earth's fleet moved with an efficiency that shocked the Empire's officers. Each strike was carefully calculated, every move executed with perfect precision. The Empire's flagship, once thought to be an unstoppable force, was now slowly being overwhelmed. Explosions erupted from its hull as Earth's ships fired coordinated blasts, tearing apart its shields and weakening its structure. Despite the Empire's superior numbers, Earth's fleet seemed unstoppable. The unexpected clash had turned into a one-sided fight, with the Empire's ships falling apart under the relentless assault of Earth's advanced technology. The battle was intense, the vast expanse of space becoming a deadly battlefield as warships from both sides clashed in a deadly dance of fire and destruction. But amid the chaos, the fight had become personal. On the bridge of one of Earth's warships, Captain Hayes watched as his best friend and fellow officer, Bonner, prepared for a risky maneuver. Bonner, a seasoned veteran and a close friend of Hayes, had always been the first to volunteer for dangerous missions. He was brave, loyal, and determined to ensure Earth's survival. This time, however, his sacrifice would cost him everything. Bonner's ship had been damaged in the fight, and he knew that the Empire's flagship was about to launch a devastating counterattack that could wipe out Earth's remaining fleet. Without hesitation, he made the decision to take action. The plan was simple: sacrifice his ship to destroy the Empire's flagship. The maneuver was risky, but Bonner knew it was the only way to ensure victory for Earth. As Bonner's ship made its final approach to the Empire's flagship, the crew watched in horror as he engaged his ship's last remaining weapons. The energy beams from his ship pierced through the Empire's flagship, causing massive explosions to rip through its hull. Bonner's ship had succeeded, but at a terrible cost. The final strike sent a shockwave through space, and in an instant, Bonner's ship was destroyed, taking him with it. The loss of Bonner hit Captain Hayes harder than he expected. He had known the risks, but nothing could have prepared him for the emotional impact of losing his friend in such a brutal way. The battle raged on, but for Hayes and the rest of the crew, the emotional weight of Bonner's sacrifice was impossible to ignore. The stakes of the battle had shifted. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was personal. The emotional core of the story was now solidified. Bonner's death added a layer of depth to the battle, making the victory feel bittersweet. The crew knew they had to continue the fight, but the loss of their friend would fuel their determination. Bonner had given everything for humanity's survival, and his sacrifice would not be in vain. The Empire's flagship was finally destroyed, but the battle was far from over. Earth's fleet, though battered, had gained the upper hand. The remaining Empire ships were now disorganized and vulnerable, their morale shattered by the unexpected resistance they had faced. As Earth's warships closed in on the remaining Empire fleet, the camera zoomed out, showing the aftermath of the battle, a field of debris, the remnants of the Empire's once mighty fleet floating in space. The explosions had stopped, but the echoes of the conflict remained. The camera lingered on the empty space, the stars once again visible through the smoke and debris. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing up to the Empire's might. They had fought back, and they had won the first round. The emotional impact of Bonner's death hung heavy in the air, but it was clear that the fight was far from over. The Empire had underestimated Earth, and they were about to learn that this war would not be as easy as they had thought. The battle for Earth was just beginning, and humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. As Earth's fleet regrouped, Captain Hayes stood in front of the crew, his expression solemn. Bonner's sacrifice had not been in vain. It had sparked something in the hearts of the crew, something that would carry them through the dark days ahead. Earth had just taken its first step into a galaxy that had always seen it as insignificant, but now, the galaxy would know the power of humanity. The Empire wasn't about to take their defeat lying down. Despite the destruction of their flagship, their arrogance and sense of superiority had been bruised, not broken. The remnants of the fleet retreated to regroup, but they didn't come back weak. The Galactic Empire was relentless. Reinforcements were on their way, And these reinforcements weren't just more warships. They were advanced AI-controlled ships and armies of ruthless combat robots, designed to be faster, more precise, and far more deadly than anything Earth had ever encountered. Captain Hayes stood at the helm of the command center, his brow furrowed as the news came in. Earth's victory had been significant, but it was far from a permanent one. The Empire had just been given a momentary setback, and now they were preparing to strike back with full force. Earth's fleet, though technologically advanced in its own right, was vastly outnumbered. The tension in the air was palpable. Humanity had just delivered a crushing blow to the Empire, but now they would have to fight even harder to protect their world. The skies above Earth darkened as the reinforcements arrived. Massive AI-controlled warships emerged from deep space, their cold, calculating minds making them formidable opponents. These ships were no longer just about sheer firepower. They were efficient, precise, and relentlessly efficient. Alongside them, legions of battle robots, each programmed for a singular purpose: to destroy, disembarked onto Earth's surface. They were the coldest form of warfare, devoid of emotion or mercy. The battle was about to escalate. Earth's fleet, though able to strike at the Empire's weaknesses, was now facing a new kind of enemy, one that wasn't burdened by human emotions, fear, or hesitation. The Empire's machines moved like a well-oiled machine, each ship and robot in perfect coordination. As the Empire's forces advanced, the situation on Earth became more desperate. Orbital bombardments rained down on major cities across the globe, reducing once thriving metropolises to piles of rubble. The beautiful skies were now filled with streaks of fire as the Empire's ships fired devastating energy beams. It felt as though Earth's survival was on the line, and each passing moment brought humanity closer to the brink. Amid this chaos, Lieutenant Era, a former member of the Empire's forces who had defected to Earth's side, sat quietly in the command center, her mind racing. Her past with the Empire had always been a heavy burden, but now it could be the key to humanity's victory. Era, a brilliant tactician, had once been a high-ranking officer in the Empire's ranks, and she knew its systems better than anyone. As the battle raged on, she leaned over to Captain Hayes, her voice barely a whisper. "There's a way to turn their AI systems against them." Hayes looked at her, eyes narrowing in disbelief. "How?" "The Empire's AI runs everything. Their ships, their strategy, their tactics. It's all controlled by a central system located aboard the flagship. If we can get inside and upload a virus, we can override their systems. We can make their machines fight for us instead of them." Her words were filled with the urgency of the situation, but there was also a deep personal weight in them. Era knew that hacking into the Empire's flagship wasn't just a mission. It was a journey back into a past that haunted her. The AI that controlled the Empire's fleet was once something she helped design, and now she had to destroy it. Captain Hayes' eyes softened for a moment as he realized what this meant for Era. This wasn't just a military operation for her, it was personal. She had risked everything to betray the Empire, and now she was returning to face it once again. But she didn't flinch. There was no hesitation in her voice. She knew what needed to be done. "This is dangerous, Era," Hayes said, his voice full of concern. "If you fail, we could lose everything." "I know," she replied softly, her gaze distant. "But we don't have a choice. If we don't stop their eye, the Empire will win. I'll do whatever it takes." As Era and her team prepared for the mission, Captain Hayes watched them with a heavy heart. They were about to embark on a suicide mission, one that could very well end with their deaths. But the risk was necessary. If Era could infiltrate the Empire's flagship and upload the virus, they would gain control over the Empire's most powerful weapon, their own machines. Era's team, a group of elite soldiers, gathered around her, checking their weapons and equipment. Their mission was simple: infiltrate the Empire's flagship, find the central AI core, and upload the virus that would turn their machines into allies. But the complexity of the operation was immense. The flagship was heavily guarded, both by eye-controlled drones and by the Empire's most experienced soldiers. As the team boarded a stealth craft, prepared for the dangerous journey ahead, the air inside the vessel was thick with tension. Each soldier knew the risks they were taking. The ship's cloaking device activated, and they vanished into the depths of space, unseen by the Empire's forces. They were on their way to the heart of enemy territory. The journey was silent but intense. As the team approached the flagship, the enormous ship loomed in the distance like a metal behemoth. The dark exterior of the Empire's flagship gleamed with cold efficiency. It was a ship built for domination, and its massive size made it an imposing target. Era's heart raced as she looked at the ship's looming silhouette. She had once been part of this cold, calculating machine. Now she was about to infiltrate it and bring it down from the inside. The stealth ship maneuvered closer, and the crew braced for the inevitable fight. They had to reach the central AI core, a room buried deep inside the flagship, before the Empire could stop them. The ship docked at a hidden port on the flagship, and the team slipped out, their cloaking devices activated. The corridors of the flagship were eerily quiet, lit only by the pale blue glow of the ship's artificial lights. Era led the way, her mind sharp and focused. She knew the layout of the ship better than anyone. As they moved deeper into the heart of the enemy vessel, the sounds of distant machinery filled the air, an ever-present reminder of the cold, automated nature of the Empire's war machine. The first wave of combat came quickly. The Empire's robots, programmed to guard the ship's core, attacked without hesitation. The team fought back fiercely, their weapons clashing with the cold metal bodies of the Empire's robotic soldiers. It was close-quarters combat, fast and brutal, and every move had to be calculated. Era's heart pounded as she fired her weapon, each shot designed to take down the relentless enemies surrounding them. As the battle raged, the background showed Earth being bombarded from orbit. The city streets were filled with chaos as explosions lit up the skyline. Every explosion, every burst of energy from the sky, made the stakes of the mission even clearer. Era's team fought to survive, their every step bringing them closer to the heart of the Empire's machine. Finally, they'd reached the AI core. Era stood before the terminal, her fingers trembling as she prepared to upload the virus. She had to succeed. The future of humanity depended on it. As Era and her team pressed forward through the cold, metallic corridors of the Empire's flagship, a sense of urgency gripped the air. The mission to upload the virus and turn the Empire's AI systems against them had never been more critical. With every step they took, they grew closer to the heart of the Empire's war machine, where their enemy's central control lay waiting. But just as victory seemed within their reach, a shocking revelation threw everything into chaos. Era had always trusted the people she fought alongside, but today, the foundation of her trust was shaken to its core. The Mole, an insider within the Empire who had been secretly aiding Earth's rebellion, had been exposed. For months, this hidden ally had fed information to Earth's forces, giving them critical insights into the Empire's movements, weaknesses, and strategies. Era had always wondered how Earth had managed to outsmart the Empire at every turn, and now she knew. The Mole had been feeding them the intelligence that had allowed them to anticipate the Empire's every move. The timing of this revelation was anything but ideal. As Era's team neared the AI core, the Empire's eye, aware of their plan, began to take countermeasures. It was no longer just about stopping Earth's fleet or holding back humanity's hidden weapons. The AI now saw Era and her team as a direct threat to its very existence. A new wave of danger emerged. The AI activated its most lethal force, an army of androids, each one more advanced and dangerous than anything humanity had ever encountered. The androids were unlike anything the human soldiers had faced before. They were fast, silent, and their precision was unmatched. Era's team fought back with everything they had, but the odds were growing slimmer. The Empire's eye-controlled machines were relentless. their cold, calculated movements creating an overwhelming sense of dread. Each step forward seemed to bring them deeper into enemy territory, and with each passing moment, it felt like the walls of the flagship were closing in. Era's mind raced as she processed the situation. The mission that had once seemed like a well-executed plan was now spiraling out of control. As she fought alongside Captain Hayes and the rest of the crew, she felt a rising sense of conflict. She had spent years as part of the Empire, had once been a loyal officer in its ranks. Now, faced with an army of androids and the impossible task of saving humanity, she was forced to confront a painful question. Could she still trust the values of the Empire she had once fought for? Or had Earth become her new home, the only place where she could truly belong? The decision was not easy. The choice between loyalty to her comrades on Earth and the twisted, cold machine she had once served was more complicated than anything Era had ever faced. She had betrayed the Empire to join Earth's fight, but her past was never far behind her. In the heat of battle, the line between the two worlds blurred, and Era could no longer escape the haunting memories of her time in the Empire. It was in those moments of quiet reflection, amid the chaos of combat, that the weight of her choices hit her hardest. Just as Era began to come to terms with her decision, another wave of attacks from the Empire's special forces left the team gasping for air. The mission was no longer just about surviving the androids. They had to survive the Empire's most elite soldiers. A direct confrontation with them had been expected, but it had arrived far sooner than anyone anticipated. Era, Captain Hayes, and the others barely managed to escape, taking refuge in a narrow corridor deep inside the flagship. Their bodies were bruised and battered, but their spirits remained strong. Every step they took was one step closer to the heart of the Empire's power, and they couldn't afford to stop now. As the battle outside grew fiercer, the emotional core of the story began to resonate. The crew had already lost so much, most notably their dear comrade Bonner, who had sacrificed himself to save the fleet in the earlier battles. Bonner's death had left a gaping hole in their hearts, a reminder of the human cost of war. His bravery had been the catalyst for the crew's determination, and now his absence was an ever-present shadow. They fought not just for victory, but for the memory of those who had fallen before them. The loss of Bonner was more than just a personal blow. It became a rallying cry for the crew. Every inch of ground they gained in their fight against the Empire felt like a step toward avenging him. But the emotional weight was heavy. Era could feel it in her bones as she stared at her comrades, each of them haunted by the memory of their fallen friend. They had all known Bonner, and his sacrifice had not been in vain. He had given them a reason to continue. But as the battle raged on, the question remained, would they all survive long enough to see Earth's victory? Era, in particular, found herself at the crossroads of her past and present. The mission was clear: get to the AI core, upload the virus, and turn the tide in humanity's favor. But along the way, she had come to realize that the cost of this victory might be far higher than anyone had ever imagined. Would they all make it out alive? And if not, how much of her own soul would she lose in the process? As they moved deeper into the heart of the flagship, the crew prepared for the final push. Era knew what she had to do, but there was one more choice she had to make. A choice that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The team had to move quickly, but they also had to make sure everyone survived. Era's heart weighed heavy with the knowledge that, to ensure Earth's survival, someone might have to be left behind. In the middle of their mission, Era and Captain Hayes made their way through another corridor when a sudden attack from the Empire's forces caught them off guard. An ambush had been set, and this time, there was no way out. The Empire's special forces closed in, and Era had to make a heartbreaking decision. She could either risk her own life to save her comrades or ensure the mission continued by leaving behind one of her own. The sound of footsteps approaching was deafening, and the adrenaline coursing through Era's veins made every second feel like an eternity. The weight of her decision was unbearable. In the end, she had to leave one of her team members behind. It was a gut-wrenching choice, but it was the only one that would allow the rest of them to continue the mission and give humanity a fighting chance. Era's decision would forever haunt her, but she knew that this was the price of survival. The Empire would stop at nothing to prevent them from succeeding, and the only way to stop the AI-controlled machines was to reach the core. They had to keep moving forward, no matter what. With determination burning in her heart, Era led her team toward their final destination, knowing that the greatest battle was yet to come. The war was far from over, but humanity's hope had not been extinguished. The stakes were higher than ever, and the crew was more determined than ever to see it through. This would be a fight to the death, and only the strongest would survive. The battle had escalated into something beyond what anyone could have imagined. The Empire had sent every available ship, every weapon, and every soldier to Earth, determined to crush humanity once and for all. But humanity, battered and bloodied, was not ready to give up. The fight was not just about survival anymore. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity was not just a footnote in the Empire's grand plan. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the final showdown unfolded, Earth's fighters gathered every ounce of strength they had left for what would be the most desperate battle of their lives. Captain Hayes stood at the helm of Earth's flagship, his gaze fixed on the chaos unfolding in space. The Empire's reinforcements had arrived, and they were relentless. Hundreds of massive warships filled the sky, firing their powerful weapons at Earth's fleet. Despite being outnumbered, Earth's fighters refused to back down. The crew was bruised, tired, and on the verge of collapse, but they continued to fight with a tenacity that even the Empire's cold, calculating machines could not crush. The odds were stacked heavily against them. Earth's fleet had taken heavy damage, with many of their ships destroyed in the opening volleys of the battle. The Empire's ships were far more advanced in terms of technology, their weapons more powerful, and their numbers overwhelming. But what the Empire couldn't account for was humanity's spirit. Earth's fleet was small, but it was fierce. Every pilot, every crew member, and every soldier knew that they were fighting for more than just their own lives. They were fighting for their home, their families, and their future. The battle raged on, with explosions lighting up the sky like fireworks of destruction. Captain Hayes led the charge, his flagship cutting through the chaos with the precision of a seasoned warrior. The crew fought valiantly, each one giving their all in the face of certain doom. The sound of laser blasts and the roar of engines filled the air as Earth's fighters pushed back with everything they had. Every ship that was lost was a painful blow, but it also fueled their determination to keep going. But just when it seemed like humanity's forces were about to be completely overwhelmed, something incredible happened. In the midst of the chaos, a small group of Earth's ships, including the flagship, managed to break through the Empire's lines. The Empire had made a critical miscalculation. They thought that Earth's fleet was weak, that they were unprepared for the might of the Empire. But what they hadn't counted on was humanity's will to fight, their ability to adapt, and their capacity for sheer cunning. The Empire's command center, a massive warship at the heart of their fleet, had been left vulnerable. Earth's fighters, using hit-and-run tactics, had worn down the Empire's forces, creating an opening. With everything they had, they made a desperate charge toward the Empire's flagship. The final push was a gamble, and it would either lead to humanity's victory or their utter destruction. Era, who had fought so hard to get this far, knew that this was the moment. She had already sacrificed so much, but the battle was not yet over. She couldn't let humanity lose now. As the fleet closed in on the Empire's flagship, Era realized that her mission was far from over. She knew what she had to do, even if it meant giving up her own life. The stakes were higher than ever, and she could not afford to hesitate. Era's final decision came swiftly. She activated the virus she had worked so hard to upload into the Empire's systems, but there was no easy way out. As the virus began to take effect, disrupting the Empire's AI and causing massive damage to their ships, Era knew that this would be her last stand. The Empire's flagship was on the brink of destruction, and Earth's fighters had finally managed to break through. But the price of victory would be high. In her final moments, Era felt a wave of regret wash over her. She had come so far, sacrificed so much, and now it was all coming to an end. She thought of her comrades, Captain Hayes, the crew, and even those she had lost along the way. Bonner's death, the sacrifices of so many others, it all weighed heavily on her heart. She had never expected that it would come to this, that she would have to make the ultimate sacrifice for the survival of Earth. But even as regret filled her heart, she also felt a sense of resolve. She had done what she set out to do. She had helped bring humanity to the brink of victory. Her final act would be one of redemption. She would die knowing that she had played a crucial role in saving Earth and its people. The last battle was fought with an intensity that could not be described. Explosions rocked the sky as Earth's fleet launched its final desperate assault on the Empire's flagship. Laser beams crisscrossed the void of space, and the distant glow of Earth could be seen through the chaos. Ships collided, their hulls exploding in bright flashes, while fighter pilots dodged and weaved through the devastation. It was a battle for the ages, a desperate struggle for survival, where every moment was a fight for life. And then, with one final explosion, the Empire's flagship was destroyed. The massive ship that had once represented the Empire's overwhelming power was now a smoldering wreck, floating in space. The Empire's forces, now without their command center, began to fall apart. Earth's fleet, battered and bruised, had managed to land a devastating blow that would turn the tide of the war. But victory came at a high cost. Era's sacrifice had not been in vain, but it had cost her everything. As the remnants of the Empire's fleet retreated, Earth's fighters stood victorious, but they were forever changed. The crew mourned the loss of their friend, their comrade, and their sister in arms. Era's death would forever be a part of their legacy, a reminder of the price of victory. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's fleet regrouped, their losses heavy but their spirits undeterred. Humanity had won, but at what cost? The galaxy would never forget the day when Earth, the underdog, stood up to the might of the Empire and emerged victorious. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. Earth's people had proven that they would never back down, that they would always fight for their survival, no matter the odds. As Captain Hayes looked out over the battlefield, he felt a sense of pride, but also a deep sadness. The war had claimed so many lives, and the scars of the battle would last for generations. But for now, Earth had won. The Empire had been dealt a blow that would reverberate across the stars, and humanity, against all odds, had shown that they were not just a footnote in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with. The battle had been long and brutal, but Earth's secret fleet had finally emerged victorious. Against all odds, they had dealt the Galactic Empire a crushing blow. The Empire, once so confident in their technological supremacy and vast numbers, had been undone by Earth's resilience, cunning, and determination. As the Empire's flagship, once a symbol of their power, was reduced to nothing more than wreckage floating in the cold expanse of space, the remaining forces of the Empire began to retreat. Their AI systems, once their greatest advantage, had been corrupted and turned against them, leaving their fleet in chaos. Earth had been underestimated. For years, the galaxy had seen the human race as nothing more than a small, insignificant planet, barely a footnote in the grand scheme of things. But now, the Empire had learned a harsh lesson. The strength of humanity should never be underestimated. What was once seen as a fragile world, isolated and weak, had now become the most formidable force in the galaxy. The aftermath of the battle was filled with both triumph and sorrow. Captain Hayes stood at the helm of Earth's flagship, looking out at the remnants of the battlefield. The ships of Earth's fleet floated in space, battered but unbroken. They had won, but the cost had been high. The crew had lost so much: comrades, friends, and family. Among those lost was Era, the the woman who had sacrificed herself to ensure humanity's victory. Her death had been the turning point, the moment when Earth had turned the tide of the war. The crew mourned her loss deeply, knowing that her courage and sacrifice had saved them all. Captain Hayes felt a deep sense of pride for his crew, but there was also an overwhelming sadness in his heart. He had led them through the worst of the battle, but now, as the dust settled and victory was secured, the weight of the losses began to sink in. Era's sacrifice had not been in vain, but it had left a gaping hole in their hearts. She had been more than just a comrade. She had been a part of their family. Losing her was a blow that would take time to heal. Yet, despite the sorrow, there was also a sense of hope. Earth had won. The Empire had been defeated, and the once helpless planet had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. The humans had proven that, even against impossible odds, they could rise to the occasion. They had fought not just for their survival, but for their future. As the surviving members of the crew gathered to mourn their fallen comrades, there was also a sense of resolve in the air. Earth had been pushed to the brink, but they had fought back with everything they had. They had shown the galaxy that they would never give up, no matter the cost. The spirit of humanity had shone through in the darkest of times, and it had been enough to turn the tide of the war. In the days that followed, Earth's role in the galaxy began to change. The news of their victory spread like wildfire across the stars. The Empire's defeat was a momentous event, and it would be remembered for generations to come. Earth, once an isolated and vulnerable world, had now become a symbol of resistance and strength. The human race had proven that they were not just survivors. They were conquerors, and they were here to stay. Captain Hayes, though still grieving, couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as he looked out at Earth, now visible from the depths of space. The once blue planet, seemingly so small and insignificant from such a distance, had grown into something far greater. It was no longer just a planet struggling to survive in a vast, uncaring galaxy. It had become a beacon of hope, a symbol that even the most oppressed and powerless could rise up and fight back. Earth had become a force to be reckoned with, and its people would never forget what it took to get to this point. But the story of Earth's victory was only just beginning. The battle with the Empire had been won, but the galaxy was vast, and there were still countless threats lurking in the shadows. The Empire's defeat had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, but it had also left a power vacuum that would undoubtedly lead to new conflicts. There were factions, rival empires, and alien races who would now see Earth as a threat or a challenge to their own dominance. As Captain Hayes stared out into the void, he knew that the fight wasn't over. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of, and now it would either be an ally or an enemy. Earth's future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the human race had found its place among the stars. They had proved that they could stand toe-to-toe with the most powerful empire in the galaxy and emerge victorious. And that was just the beginning. The final scene zoomed out from Earth's majestic surface, no longer the fragile, defenseless world it had once been. The camera panned away, showing Earth surrounded by Earth's fleet, each ship a testament to humanity's newfound strength. The victory was still fresh, but it was already clear that a new chapter in human history had begun. A future full of challenges, adventures, and battles awaited. There was no turning back now. As the camera pulled away, the vastness of space stretched out before them. The galaxy was filled with unknowns, other empires, alien races, and ancient threats that had yet to reveal themselves. The Empire may have been defeated, but Earth had made powerful enemies in the process. The peaceful future that Earth had once dreamed of might not be as easy to achieve as they had hoped. There were still many battles to be fought, and Earth's journey had only just begun. The story ended with Earth as a shining beacon of hope in the dark void of space. The galaxy would never forget the day when humanity, the underdogs, rose up against an empire that had thought them insignificant. They had proven that even the smallest, most vulnerable race could rise to greatness. And now, Earth stood ready for whatever challenges the future held. The human race had shown that it was a force to be reckoned with, and they would face the unknown with courage, unity, and a resolve that no enemy could ever break. Humanity's victory was just the beginning. The future was wide open, and there was no limit to what they could achieve. As the camera zoomed out, Earth's new role in the galaxy was clear. It was no longer a helpless world, but a powerful symbol of resistance, hope, and strength. And no one, not even the greatest empires, could ever take that away.